Turundusraadio.
Hello, dear listeners, and welcome to our Marketing Radio talk show number 144. I am Naarits from Marketing Institute in Estonia, and I'm going to be your host today. And my guest via Skype is Dr. Dimitriadis, who is Development Director in Executive Development Institute, the University of Sheffield International Faculty and City College. So, hi, Nikolaus.
Hello, so nice to be with you.
Turunduse tulejoonel.
Today we are going to talk about the neuroscience-based communication. To introduce the topic, I would like to say that we have discussed in our Marketing Radio talk shows about neuromarketing before. But today we will focus more about how to use the neuroscience in communications. And to start with, Nikolaus, I would like to ask, why should we use neurosciences in marketing and communications at all?
This is a great question, and I think the right first question of the day. Thank you so much. Well, I think we have to go a little bit further back in time and see a very strange model of understanding humanity that came about around the 18th century. So 18th century economists, very famous economists now, and many of them from Scotland, started developing their first ideas of how people and companies behave in markets. The basis for modern economics actually were created then. And this specific model, in a very different world from the world we live today, you can imagine.
Absolutely, it sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it is a completely different world. It's a world where if you want to buy bread, you buy from the local, in a village or a town that you live, from a local a bread shop. Or if you want bakery, if you want to buy meat, you go to the meat place. And you know everybody by name. Information is very limited. You don't know much what's happening around the world. You don't know much what's happening in the other village next to you, to be honest. And the economy this era thought that decision-making is very straightforward. Human beings, mainly motivated by self-interest, they try to maximize the utility from any transaction that they make. So they have some kind of constant cost-benefit analysis in their head, and the outcome of this cost-benefit analysis is to minimize cost and maximize profits. And if people behaved different, if, for example, somebody was emotional or irrational, it was a bad thing. Actually, economists have very interesting names that they call to people that are behaving irrationally or emotionally. I don't know if you've heard about the term animal spirits. Actually, There is this term in economics where some economists actually claim that whenever humans do not behave in the model that I just described, we are kind of possessed by animal spirits. You know, the animal primal part of ourselves takes over, and it's like zombies, we become non-rational beings. And this is a model of looking at humans that we now call Homo economicus, the Homo economicus model of viewing humanity, which not only was never scientifically proven, we never had any serious science backing the Homo economicus model. And now that we have, mainly through neuroscience, we understand that it was not only a wrong model, but it is a dangerous model. It's really dangerous to look at human beings as rational beings. We have a rational capacity. That's a different thing. We have the capacity to think rational, but this does not make us a rational being. So, on the contrary, we now know through neuroscience that we are emotional beings that sometimes think. We are not rational beings that sometimes have emotions. And for me, the exciting thing about neuroscience, and not only neuroscience, I would like to open a little bit our discussion. Neuroscience is one way of looking into the brain, the most direct and most wonderful way, but we also have behavioral economics, psychology and sociology, that through behavioral experiments we can indirectly see what happens in the brain. And this new model of looking humanity, replacing the Homo economicus model, brings dramatic changes in all aspects of humanity. For me, teaching and education has to change drastically, and it is, slowly but steadily. Because, I mean, if you really think about it, we tried to, for 300 years, we tried to educate our kids to become Homo economicus, something that we are not. We know we are not. In policy and in economic policy, in finance policy, financial policy, in management, of course, we treat employees with carrots and sticks, like they're Homo economicus. And of course, with consumers as well and our customers. We need to replace the basic model of customer behavior, and neuroscience and other behavioral sciences help us doing so.
Wow. What a long explanation, starting from several centuries ago and then reaching today. So tell me, what are the success stories of neurosciences that has been used in communications and really using different methods of motivation or analyzing buyer behavior?
Right.
Like using the current methods.
Correct. So there are two ways to see neuromarketing. Now, neuromarketing, it's a term that not everybody likes. I have to tell you that there are parts of the world where when you say, I mean neuromarketing, they're quite negative because unfortunately, for some people, neuromarketing means manipulation, which of course we can discuss later on and see why I believe it's not the case.
Okay.
So some people call it neuromarketing. There is a new term now coming about, consumer neuroscience or customer neuroscience, which I think is also very, very interesting term. There are two ways to see this new way of doing marketing. The one way, let's call it the limited or the narrow way, is to see it as purely research. So replacing, let's say, or accompanying focus groups, surveys, any other type of online social media research we might be doing, and you add neuromarketing as a different branch of marketing research. So that's the way I think that unfortunately many people see neuromarketing. For me, it is of course a new way of doing research, but it's wider. I think that neuromarketing can impact not only how we can present our customers with some options or with some stimuli and then see how the brain reacts, and based on this reaction to predict how they will behave in the market. That's wonderful and beautiful, and we do it quite a lot all around the world. But there is the wider view, neuromarketing as a new marketing paradigm, as a marketing paradigm that replaces the basics of marketing of the past. So not just the research, but what we call now applied neuromarketing, which is using neuromarketing principles to design strategy, to design channels, to change the very structure of our marketing team in companies. Can you believe? We take neuroscience, see how the brain is organized, and we try to project this within our marketing department. So I'm the follower of this wider view of neuromarketing. But this automatically means that I'm also following and I support the research one. Okay. So concerning successes, in research, there are many successes and widely publicized. It's very easy for your listeners to Google this very famous ad by Volkswagen, the Force. It is one of the most successful ads in the car industry a few years ago, where the kid is dressed like Darth Vader. I don't know if you have watched this very famous ad. And he's trying to move items around with his force. Of course, he cannot do it. But when his father brings back the car, a Volkswagen, the child runs out and tries on the car his force. He tries to activate the car. And the father from the kitchen, he presses the button on his key and the car starts, and the kid is so amazed that the force worked. So this study, it's an amazing ad, very successful actually for Volkswagen. So this study also exists on YouTube. People will search it and they will see the neuro research on it. You can see second by second how the brain engages with the story, and which parts of the brain are activated in second by second in the story. And you will see there clearly that there are some points where the brain is very engaged, attention is very high, emotional engagement is positive, and there are other parts of the story where engagement is not so high, or that the emotion is sinking. So I think that, and I can share personal stories from my own research, of course, with you and your listeners. But for me, neuromarketing research comes to provide actual scientific evidence in research and in marketing communications. Before, you had the creative department, creative director of an advertising agency, copywriters, designers, being the absolute holders of creative output. So if they said that design techniques or principles had to be applied, you as a client or as an account manager in this, you had to comply and say, yes, that's your profession, That's so. If you like something, if you do it something, and then of course we asked people, did you like it or not? This was not a scientific process. This was a very, how can I say, I would say more folklore kind of doing business. And you know what? I think that because marketing communications did not have a scientific way to develop or to test, marketing departments never had status in companies. In 2012, there was a study in the UK that found out that 80% of the sampled CEOs did not believe in the work of the marketing department, and they were not at all impressed by it. 80%. This is embarrassing for marketing. While the same CEOs from this study found that 91% of them appreciated the work of CFOs and CTOs. Now, for me, we cannot always, marketeers, we cannot always blame the other departments. They don't understand what we're doing. We deal with human. Now, that's not enough. This is not good line of defense. We have to bring science back to marketing and to prove that it's working. There is this guy from the 19th century that he said, one of the pioneers in advertising, Whitmaker, if I remember correctly, 19th century. So he said 1850s. He said 50% of the money I spent in advertising is wasted. I just don't know which 50%. Because we never worked which part of our communications worked or we never knew which part of the communications worked or no. It was kind of touch and feel. It was kind of, we call it art of communications, which sounds nice and sexy, but in corporate terms and return on investment and huge budgets does not sound good. It's not the award we will win in Lion in Cannes that will make our campaign great. It has to be other stuff. So I think that bringing the science back to marketing, and will not be a touch and feel, yes, I like it, I don't like it, but I will research exactly what is happening in the brain of my customers while they are exposed to my communications, brings more credibility. I don't say 100% credibility, there are other things to discuss, but it definitely improves credibility. This is why, in my experience, many advertising agencies dislike neuromarketing. The people that have the most resistance to change for neuromarketing are not usually marketing directors or the client side. They are creative directors. There are art directors, designers, and copywriters in agencies that unfortunately were not educated and trained on neuromarketing. They were in some graphic design school or any other of the creative arts universities, and they never talk about neuroscience.
Absolutely.
So for them, it's very difficult to accept that somebody, a machine, an EEG, a helmet that I put on my customer's head when I show them some creative, that this will say more than their understanding of creative design.
So you mean that currently, today, every marketing organization should have designs tested by neuromarketeers or neuroscience people telling what works and what not?
Exactly. When it's my favorite moment, from the many technologies and methods in neuromarketing research is also, and I'm sure that both you and your listeners know about this, eye tracking. Now, the eye is the mirror of the soul. it's not by accident that, for example, Simon Baron Cohen, a very famous neuroscientist. By the way, the brother of the actor that played Borat. You know Borat, the movie?
Yeah, we know, of course.
Yes, Sacha Baron Cohen. So his brother, Simon Baron Cohen, he's a very famous neuroscientist. And he has developed a very famous technique. You can find it also online, where you see eyes, or the eyes of people, but just the eyes. And he provides you with 4 answers, four possible emotions. And you have to choose one of the 4 emotions. What do you think that this person experiences only by looking at their eyes? Because their eyes, our eyes is a point of fixation for our brain. We now know that when we walk on the street, when we are in the office, the place where our eyes will fixate is somebody else's eyes. Eyes say a lot for neuromarketing. Okay, so we do a lot of eye tracking, because eye tracking can show attention, focus, even emotion. So my favorite moment when we do eye tracking studies is something that's called heat map. So heat map is nothing but your, let's say, Facebook front page or a billboard or brochure. And then people are exposed in this, and for a few seconds we allow them to look at it. And then through infrared reader, we know where the eyes were falling, moving around, etc. So the places where the eyes were fixating, we call them heat maps, and we present them with a little bit a reddish color, and we say to a client, look, this is where your clients are looking at. But the best thing, Animal, is the opposite, is the fog map. It's when you show them what they didn't see, not what they saw. So we actually, with the fog map, is like the negative of the heat map, where we mask, like with the fog, the places where the eyes didn't go. And this is the moment of truth. This is where clients are looking at their communications, brands are looking at their communications. This sometimes very expensive or very time-consuming, because there is first the agency makes some versions, and then they send you the versions, then you decide, then back and forth, then changes, and then you see that most of it actually will never be visible.
Yeah, and especially your product.
Exactly.
In the wrong place that no one sees, looks a completely different kind of nice eyes or something.
Exactly. And this is my favorite, because they look at it and they say, oh, but where is the message? and then we start the conversation like, if you see an ad, even you can do it even with videos. If you can say, by looking at a fog map, not a heat map, a fog map, if you can say what the ad is talking about and which is the brand, it's okay. But if you look at the ad with a fog map and you cannot make heads from tails, then we have to go back. So when I show this to my other partners, clients, or my own organization, I tell them, how did we ever create communications before? How did we ever were so confident that any type of creative output was effective or not without such kind of tools now? Actually, it's impossible. So it's a change of paradigm. It's not just improving. It's changing completely the way, because then it has to go backwards. Creative departments have to understand what make their elements appear in a fog map or not. What makes a number, a logo, a story, a graphic element stand out to the human eye or not? Okay, and this is where we don't ask people. You don't ask your clients what you can see, because the eye movement, most of it, as well as our total human experience, is subconscious. So of course we can always explain, but we will not make it for what actually is.
Absolutely. So, can you suggest what would be better process-wise? Is it so
Yes.
that the designer does just the first sketches, you show them to the customer, then you get the first understanding about what is seen and what is hidden, and then you go back to the designer and let to polish the designs and check it again? Or is it enough if the designer does a couple of versions and you choose the best one at the end?
Right. Both of these processes are great, and it's what many neuroscientists, because now we live in very interesting times, you know. The best marketing researchers are now neuroscientists. So many neuroscientists now go into marketing, which is tricky because they don't fully understand what marketing is. So they would tell you exactly similar things like, okay, so neuromarketing is not here to help you create an ad, it's here to help you test an ad. But I think that it can help you even create the ad in the very beginning. So you remember I mentioned that you can see neuromarketing in two perspectives, as research or as a new way of doing marketing. If we train our creative departments, and of course the account people and the client side in neuromarketing or consumer or customer neuromarketing principles, then we save time. Because the truth is that although neuromarketing is very new and neuroscience itself is very new, there are people that claim that 90% of the things we know about the brain are less than 20 years old. Now this is mind-blowing. It's a very new science because of the technology. So 90% of the things we know about the brain, they're just 20 years old. It's a very new science. But still, we have principles. There are constant new studies that come out that show how the brain likes to receive information. And this is the key point, I think, in our conversation. In the previous human model, the Homo economicus, we were not presenting information to people in the way that it was brain-friendly, in the way that the brain has been evolved to accept and use. On the contrary, it was a romantic, I would say a religious kind of dogma of how our brain should work to make us Homo economicus. And then we were trying to feed, I would say force feed information in that way. So now that we more and more reveal how the brain the brain loves to receive information in some specific way. Why? Because the brain is the most energy devouring organ we have. Now, the brain is only 2% of our body, only 2% of our body mass, but consumes 20% of our energy. Now, that's crazy. So only 2% of the body spends 20% of the total energy that the body has. This means that the brain's main role is to save energy. Because what the brain wants to do is to keep us alive. So most of the brain energy goes to regulate my heartbeat, my body temperature, to coordinate my organs, my movement. This is, you know how much of the energy of the brain, so 20% of the total energy goes to the brain. From this 20%, how much goes for the non-conscious tasks? More than 90%. So actually, only 10%, and some scientists go and say 5% of the total energy that goes into the brain goes to actually conscious experience, replying, and all this that Homo economicus or economists saw that Homo economicus is all about. So a lot of communications that we create ask for the brain to spend unnecessary energy, and the brain doesn't want to do this. It wants to do that under one condition, that we are passionate about something. If we are passionate about something, we devote more brain energy to this thing. But usually it's not the case with our brains. So we need to create all our communications based on brain principles that make it easy, direct, and deeper, I would say, I'll explain a little later, for the brain. Okay, this is what I think that we should actually educate the whole marketing ecosystem. Who is involved in marketing? Whoever is included in the wider marketing function, from PR and communications people, to sustainability people, to market, to technology people now, CTOs, because we do a lot with big data now and social intelligence, and data intelligence. We have to educate all these people inside the company and outside the companies, market research agencies, the PR agencies, creative agencies, BTL agencies, digital agencies, community management agencies. We use now, hundreds of agencies. Every big brand has so many different agencies. They all need to understand the brain-friendly principles, communication principles. Then we will save time, and then we can test. Okay, still we need to test.
Absolutely. Can you tell me what type of organizations could benefit most from the neurosciences? Because my question is based on we here in Estonia have an understanding that all kind of testing and neurotesting is very expensive. So the small companies mostly cannot afford it. It's only for the big ones. And maybe there are some areas you can benefit most, like in stores where the in-store communication and in-store behavior is so important in your final sales revenue, what you receive every day. So you see that, okay, maybe these are the hotspots where you should use more of the testing, and the other parts, okay, let it go like the old methods. Maybe it wasn't too wrong.
Okay, great question, and I'm very happy you asked me this because it's the right time to burst this myth as well. First of all, the applied neuromarketing principles, the principles that help you develop any kind of message in a more brain-friendly style, should be taught to everybody. There are many nice speeches online. Please, you can watch also my TED speech about brain-friendly communications. If you Google Dimitriadis and TEDx, you will find it. There are many other people talking about this. There are many books about it. So there's a lot of information. There are training courses about it. So everybody, any type of company, from a political party to a small shop in the corner, to the big branch, to everybody should know, because we are talking about actually a new way of looking at humanity. So even kids at school should be educated about this. We will have a much better society. Now, when it comes to testing, though, to the technology that you asked me, prices are so unbelievably affordable now that I think that there is no excuse. Because I can find it, if you are exposed to what some neuro testing can do for your brands, if you see how much money you were wasting in communications that you thought that they were so cool and fantastic, it's no way back. So let me tell you some costs to, I hope, convince your listeners that they should all do it. For example, I mentioned the fog maps and the heat maps, right?
Yeah.
Now, you can do predictive test. Predictive test means you don't need to have the technology of eye tracking yourself. There are websites where you upload your web pages, your brochures, any type of creative work, and it, based on what we know in neuroscience up to now concerning eye tracking, it gives you back as a result the heat map and the fog map for $7.
Wow.
Per item. And it's predictive. This is called predictive neuroscience, and it has an accuracy rate of around 70%. But 70% is fantastic for the first 5 seconds where the eye will go. More than that, we need to do the actual eye tracking. But for the first 5 seconds, has more than 70% accuracy rate for $7. So there is no excuse. There's no excuse. Anything we do, we don't just upload it. And you know what? Maybe it's another type of information. Maybe we will use it 100%. Maybe we'll use it 50%. But there is no excuse not doing it. Now, let's say that you want to do eye tracking yourself. There are solutions, very famous and popular from iTribe, where you buy the bar to do eye tracking for $100. There is no, so $100 or $110. It's really, and then you connect and you use the software on the cloud. So really, you just get this stick. It's like a small bar that you place in front of your laptop. It's extremely cheap and affordable. So now let's go to more advanced technologies. Let's go to EEG. EEG is when we place the electrodes in a form of a helmet on our head, and we can, for neuromarketing research, we can do two things: to check emotional engagement. If somebody is emotionally engaged, and if this engagement is positive or negative. So we check, are you emotionally engaged or passive? And then we say, is this emotional engagement positive or negative? And then we can also check cognitive engagement. So is somebody's pays attention? Is some information difficult for your brain? It spends more energy than it should. I will tell you about a test we did with an Italian neuroscientist, a partner of mine, few weeks ago. So EEG has become now a major element of neuromarketing research. Yes, good EEG, the one that checks many channels, more than 20 channels, and it goes up to 30 channels, can be expensive to buy it. It can be something like 8,000 euros. However, there are much cheaper options for $700, even for $400, with fewer channels that you just connect on your laptop with a Bluetooth stick, and you can use it. Now, it's not as accurate, but it's okay. I've used it, and it brings very nice results. So concerning eye tracking, it's extremely affordable. Concerning EEG, good EEG, medical EEG is still expensive. I think it's more for a research agency to buy, but non-medical EEG, it's very affordable. And the third technique that we're using, which is emotional facial recognition, which is we tape the facial expressions of people while they're looking on something, while they're reading or viewing something. This, unfortunately, also now is rather expensive because you have to license the software online. There is, though, free software that I recommend, a free sampling software where everybody should try, and see if it is for them. Just to finish this part about costs, there is me and this Italian business partner, this neuroscientist that I do a lot of work with. We have recommended to companies, big brands, Italian brands, Swedish brands, to create their own neurolab in their companies. Companies like Hewlett and Packard have done it already in the US, with a cost which is less than 15,000 euros, any big brand can create its own neurolab inside their premises and test everything daily. They can test different prices, different websites, different creatives, everything. And for bigger brands, okay, not the smaller, not the SMEs, but for big, how much big brands are spending for research? 15,000 for them is, few days of research project. To create their own neurolab, I think it's a great proposal, and we have heard very positive views for big brands on that.
Tell me now, if I'm, let's say, a chain of stores here in Estonia,
yes.
Let's say yes. I have 30 stores.
Right.
Maybe it's even not the supermarket, but let's say some kind of shoes and apparel and some kind of things.
Okay.
So what should be the tools, or how should I use neuromarketing in the best way in my business?
Right. Let's start from the very beginning. First of all, you should train your salespeople to how the brain works. When people come in the store, human touch is still the most important. We talk a lot about digital technologies and everything, but still human touch. This is why Zappos, the big retailer, online retailer in the US, only 5% of their sales is through their call center, but they spend more money in the call center than they spend in any other, because they have found that at least once their customers will call their call centers, and this call will be the biggest motivator for loyalty. So human touch is very important. We have to train our salespeople, our store managers, our call centers in brain-friendly communication techniques. It's not difficult. This is what I've been doing the last 5 years of my life. It's not difficult. You can really train yourself to talk and to ask in brain-friendly ways, and it can really engage your customers. Now, not only people, we can create a shopping experience which is brain-friendly. What does it mean? Signage has to be very clear. It has to follow the customer journey, the logical and the emotional customer journey in the shop. It should make the life of buyers easy, fast, easy, with shortcuts, and with as much engagement as possible. Packaging. We did also a study about packaging with a shoe company from Italy. How the box of the shoe box itself should be signed with the signage, with the colors, and everything else. Also, your online presentation. Everything that I see on your online website, I don't know if you have e-commerce, should be also optimized for the brain. Okay, so what actually we should do is take a business, break down the business in all the customer journey touch points, and see how each one can be optimized by using a brain-friendly approach. But it has to be a top-down revolution. First, the management of the chain has to be exposed to brain-friendly marketing. They have to be trained on it. They have to become passionate on it. And I can assure you that it always happens. They always become passionate on it. And then to roll it down to all the customer journey touch points. Salespeople, shop experience. Okay, we have now technology, for example, and this is very known. We wear some specially designed glasses for people that come into the store, and we can check, where they're looking and where they go. Another amazing thing. Do you know that even because retail, the pain of retailers is stock.
Yeah, of course I know.
Means exactly. Of course, I've been a retailer. I was.
Me too.
Yes, in shopping centers, and the pain always of my tenants and of the retailers is always stock. So listen, what happened. Another neuromarketing team that I'm collaborating. It is based in Thessaloniki, in Greece. They're very successful. They have even done some work for Google Southeast Europe. They do some studies with retailers where they try to predict which collection will sell more.
Oh, and how do they do it?
How do they do it? This is amazing. Okay, you need a bigger sample.
Okay.
So no. Why I mention this? Because for neuromarketing research, sample is the most expensive. It's not a questionnaire that you send out. You have to have one person in a room each time to wear the EEG. So that's the time consuming and let's say the most pricey thing. But you need more than 50 people, even 70 and 100 better. So what do you do? Is the case study that they have done and I have in mind is with eyewear retailer. And the eyewear retailer, a very big eyewear retailer in Athens, glasses, his pain was always, what should I order for this summer season? So they did this study where they brought people in the premises and they exposed them to different samples, glasses, pictures, ads also from glasses, and they were recording how the brain was reacting. Not what the people were saying. It's not if I say I'm excited. That's irrelevant. If my brain shows I'm excited, if my brain shows that my eyes are fixating more in some models than others. So they advised this retailer to place the orders based on the research. And he lowered, if I remember correctly, his stock after the season for more than 50%. He was so happy.
Wow.
Yes,
it's a great really saving in money, really.
It's huge. It's actually solving the main pain of retailing. So this is why I'm saying, please don't view, and I'm talking to your listeners, please don't view neuromarketing like just another technique, research technique that with your focus groups can tell you if your new billboard is better from the old one. That is okay, and it works excellent like this. But this is just a small percentage of what neuromarketing can do for you. It can help you really reinvent the business. And a partner of mine in Spain, he is part, as I am also part of the global Sales Brain network of partners. Sales Brain is the pioneering neuromarketing agency These are the two guys that wrote one of the first books in neuromarketing back in 2002. So I'm a certified neuromarketeer from SalesBrain, and our Spanish partners is as well. And he talks about neurostrategy. Actually, he has developed a methodology to help the whole business become neuro-friendly, not just communications, but the whole business model. Myself also, I've been doing the last 4 years internal communications research. So not only how to convince my external customers, but how to convince our internal customers. Because my customers have to be my brand ambassadors, my employees first, and then my customer. So neuromarketing can help you also internally. How to create employees being supercharged and excited about your brand, and then to sell it as the best brand. Otherwise, it will not happen.
Excellent. Thank you a lot. It was so inspiring, and I'm happy to tell to our listeners that you can come and you can listen to Dr. Nikolaos Dimitriadis during our Tallinn Marketing Week, when he is going to be one of the main presenters, and he is going to talk more about all the very, very exciting details. So you're welcome to listen.
Turundusuudised.
And the next topic is today from retail world, from Retailing Today. And they told that, or announced that specialty outdoor retailer The North Face is taking a desktop-based interactive online shopping experience it launched in December to a new platform. The North Face is launching a mobile app that will let customers find products using natural conversation to conduct searches and receive personalized recommendations. The app is scheduled to launch April 2016. So what do you think about this news? Do you think it's going to be a trend, or is it just something interesting what happens in the retail market?
Yes, it's a very interesting case. I've personally been involved in analytics and predictive analytics and the technology behind it since 2009, especially voice recognition, speech to text, etc. Because I think this is what they're trying to do, North Face, to allow you to speak in natural language with the platform, and the platform using Watch on IBM to reply to you and help you, guide you through your online shopping. It's a very exciting times. It's very exciting technology. I'm also working with IBM in educating their clients about cognitive, because IBM created this new vision of cognitive business, and I help them talk and prepare marketing direction. So using IBM Watson is fantastic. IBM Watson is really probably the most intelligent machine we have now on the planet. And I think that more and more brands trying to create a natural experience with their clients, it's something we will more and more see. Having said that, I have to say that there are many voices out there in the scientific world talking about a high tech environment, brand environment, but also for the need of a human touch environment. I think that creating a natural language interaction platform is fantastic. For telecommunications as well, sometimes you call your telco provider to say some complaints. Maybe from the other side of the line, it will not be a human, but some artificial intelligence machine that will try to help you. And I think we'll be seeing more and more. But my call to the world is not to forget the human touch. Yes, maybe if I search alone online on an e-commerce platform, is boring. If I interact with an AI agent, will make this more meaningful. But somewhere down the line, I have to feel that I talk to a human being. Why? Because our brain has developed to talk to a human being. Our brain has developed, especially through humanoids, the last 2 to 3 million years, in human relations and human interaction. Don't forget that language is only 30 to 40,000 years old. So language is a very new thing to the brain. This is why it's also on the top of the brain. It is what we call the neocortex. Neocortex has language skills. Deeper parts of the brain, the parts that are responsible for emotional management and empathy and bonding and loyalty, these do not have language skills. These deeper parts of the brain, they don't communicate through language. They communicate through other things, like through visual and through touch and through eye movement, as we said earlier. And I don't think that the solution to our branding problems is more technology. I think more technology or more tech interaction will make my life easier, but not necessarily a deeper experience. Somewhere down the line, I would say in the beginning and in the end, should be the human touch. And we should never think how to replace this. We should think how we should expand this. So that's my take.
Absolutely. I would pretty much agree with you. I was thinking here that if I imagine the shopping situation now, that I have to go to the store and I have to tell to a machine what I would like, then mostly looking from the research we have done a lot in the retail, and when we watch how people shop and what do they think, mostly they don't even know what they are looking for. They are just browsing. They are looking something interesting. They are looking something that could be fresh and new. But they, even when entering the store, they have no clue. Is it going to be red or yellow or orange? What color? What type? But when they see it, then the emotions arise and they say, yes, it's mine. I want to have it. So it might be that maybe this is also the way that we are trying to rationalize the story where you began this interview. We try to rationalize the human behavior, trying to think that we are like machines, but still most of the things happens really in the deepest down in the brain.
Exactly.
what is difficult to control, so it might be kind of even, I wouldn't say dangerous, but it might be that it's probably a good way to create buzz. Really, but I'm not very sure that it's a good way to generate an excellent buying emotion around it. It might be kind of too Maybe it's different for men and women. Women tend to be more emotional in the clothing buying. Maybe men are more rational. Maybe they would be happy if they get listed, 3 pairs of black socks, so they don't need to run around and trying to find them in the store. Maybe it's okay for them, but for women, there are so many other emotions and imaginations, so I don't know.
I couldn't agree more. You know what? I was reading an article, I think it was on Wired magazine, where one of the journalists there started clicking in all the ads suggested by bots, by machines, on her social network. Because, your social network collaborating with or allowing for ads to appear that supposedly checks cookies to see through cookies what you like and to provide you more of what you like. So she started clicking on them all. And, it's like a vicious circle. The more you click, the more they recommend this thing. And she ended up in a very boring place because these machines can only know what you did, not what you will do. Meaning, maybe I checked one book in Amazon or something else somewhere else, and they will try to recommend more like this. They don't have the ability to recommend something outside using imagination, let's say, or intuition. So there is this human touch that we need in order to make our life more rich and more emotionally satisfying. However, having said that, we like that banks now have ATMs, right? We like that we don't have to go inside to some person to stay on a line and take money. So there are parts of the customer journey that can be automated. Actually, I would say they should be automated because they're the habitual or let's say the procedural parts of the process. But they're the other parts of the customer journey, of the experience that we relish and we want human imagination and human touch and surprise, something that we didn't expect. And this make our life deeper and nicer and more meaningful. This we should never lose.
Absolutely. I would prefer automizing the payment process in store. That you don't need to queue, it goes fast, you really take your clothes and you go out and you have paid, so you don't need to worry about that. So maybe these parts would need a bit more of the kind of easier technological solutions, and really all the emotion creating parts let us enjoy until we have the stores. Then we would like to get most out of it.
Exactly. And brain science will show this. There is now a lot of books, I don't know if you noticed, there's a lot of books now coming out and voices that are very much against overusing technology in our lives and in our businesses. For example, Roman Kersnarich, a philosopher based in London, that has done a lot of work on empathy. Actually, I think his book is one of the best in empathy that I have read. He has also a TED speech we can watch. He is very critical on the impact of technology on our empathy. And I remind you that empathy is what makes us human, in the sense that what connects me with you or with any other human on this planet, makes me understand and feel what they feel, and makes me want to do things to help them. And technology and social media a lot, and also a lot of automated processes rob us. I mean, they steal away from us what makes us human and what makes life so exciting. So yeah, there are voices, and I think it's great to use technology for brand building. I think especially with analytics, as well as various parts of my brand touch point. But my question is, do we really understand the brand touch point? Let's first understand it, and then let's see where technology can make it much easier. Save brain energy, you remember? So technology can save my brain energy, but on the other hand, not to take away from me the other brain functions that make me who I am.
Turunduse täht.
We move on to our next topic, that is about our weekly marketing award.
It's not last week, it's a little bit older, and
okay.
I hope you haven't touched upon this, but for me, it's the best news of this year up to now in marketing communications.
Wow, I'm so excited to hear.
Yeah, well, Diesel is the very famous apparel company, decided to advertise in Pornhub. I don't know if you know about this.
No, you have to tell me more. I'm Googling, but tell me more.
It's the most exciting news. Why is exciting? I'll tell you in many ways. First of all, Diesel is the first brand, I would say, accepted and respected, to ever go into adult sites and advertise heavily, make agreements with adult sites. So they signed an agreement with Pornhub, with YouPorn, and also they did agreements with dating sites and gay sites. And I think that this is very exciting, because you see that normal accepted brands break some barriers. I mean, it's unbelievable that a high street brand is going to appear to the #1 adult site in the world.
Yeah, that's news.
What's your take on that?
Yeah, it's a bit frightening, but thinking about Diesel, then this would be probably the only brand I would imagine doing it and being the first one in it.
Well, you know that, for example, Pornhub is the 64th highest visited site on this planet. And I have for you here, I actually found the statement of the creative director of Diesel, which is unbelievable. So he says, well, we all go on websites like Pornhub, so before you start, and now I quote, do things that you do while you're watching Pornhub, maybe you can stop and look at our new pants and shoes, said Nicola Formicetti, the creative director of Diesel. Now, for me, as somebody that it is dealing with the brain, that's very interesting, because, in brain and in psychology and neuroscience, we talk about something that's called the arousal state. Arousal state is when the brain is overcharged with arousal, with exciting emotions. So for me, it would be very interesting to do a neuro study to see how the brain reacts in the overstimulation of an adult site, and looking at a very prominent brand. Will this be beneficial? Means all the studies we have on arousal state, it's a very famous study done by Dan Ariely of Predictably Irrational fame. Maybe you've heard the book and all his research. So he did this study. He asked college students if they would perform some not so nice acts, and not so proper acts. And then he asked them to go in the room, find some adult sites, get excited, and while excited, to answer again to the questionnaire. And you know what it showed? That when the brain was overexcited, they were more willing to perform these not so proper acts. Because when your brain is overexcited and arousal, it overrides, it inhibits, if you want, the frontal lobes of the brain, the executive part of the brain that does kind of the control. Should this be okay to do or not? Am I allowed to do this? It shuts down this part. So for me, it's extremely interesting to see if aroused brains on an adult side will accept in a deeper way diesel better, or don't forget sometimes the embarrassment response will actually reject it. We don't know, but for me it's the most interesting news I saw over the last period in marketing. And
wow.
The most brave, I would say.
It's really interesting. Yeah. My candidate for this week is coming from Estonia, and probably has been a candidate for Weekly Marketing Award before, but we'll still provide them. I think it's the Institute of Estonian Language. And as today is the day for Estonian language, they have, I think, every year an event. And the event, they called it an e-test of Estonian. So they ask everyone to participate. It's from the major radio channel of Estonia, and they read a small text in Estonian, and they ask people to write it in a right way, and then to supply the text to the institute, and they will find out who is the faster and who is writing without any mistakes. So it's a kind of interesting way to popularize the language, and especially this year I was really, really surprised, because usually it was something I read in the news, but today two totally kind of strangers were both at the same time telling me that no, I cannot attend the meeting because I need to do the language test.
Unbelievable.
And it was it took about for some it was about 7 minutes or 15 minutes, but they really took time to understand if they write in a right way or wrong way. They were even Googling the words, trying to be the best one. So it's a really kind of interesting excitement you can build around the language. So this is my candidate.
It's a great candidate. Yeah, I find the technology allows us, and online interaction platforms allow us really to touch things that before life we considered as given, right? Like language. You use it every day, and of course we don't have the time to go to a school for this. You work on, but now with such interesting engagement techniques that you mentioned, we can really stop and think about them. Yeah, very nice.
Very good. So do you know what do we need to do next?
Tell me.
No. Okay. We need to vote who is going to get the award. You have your candidate and my candidate. So, and you as a guest can start. So, what is your favorite?
I definitely go with the Estonian Institute of Language, because I think that every country, with all this globalization that we go through, globalization is fantastic, and I think that humans are the same wherever we are. We are really on this planet together. On the other hand, we really need also to appreciate our own traditions and to find value in these traditions. And one of these is, of course, language. So I go for the language.
Okay, so I think that Estonian Language Institute probably when we see that you from Serbia currently are so excited about the idea, maybe the institute should think about exporting the concept to different countries with small languages.
Turundusdoktor aitab.
Today's case study sounds like that. Hi, we are a small family company and plan to open a garden store in Tallinn's suburban area. It will be situated in an old greenhouse, so we can both grow the plants and sell them at the same place. We have had long discussions about what to do with the interior. Should it be more polished and modern? But of course it's difficult and expensive to achieve. Or should we try to build it more like a cozy neighboring store or anything else? We actually don't know how to reach a decision. Can you help? What do you think about the case study?
That's a very interesting situation. It's one that happens every day because everywhere in the world people start their own businesses from scratch. Now, I've been dealing for few years now with startups, with the startup community in various countries. I'm actually also a mentor and trainer of startups. And regardless if the startup is in technology or is in the brick and mortar or real world, like the case of said, there are some principles we need to follow. And my advice to them would be first this: you have to be lean, extremely lean. We are all very excited when we start a business. You know, we have all the emotions, the dedication. We have this positivism bias. We see everything as positive and that it will work out. Usually they don't. I have to tell you. I'm a big believer. Whenever somebody starts something, and this comes from startup theory, from what they call pivot. Pivot is a term in basketball. Is when a basketball player is standing with his or her back to the basket and then jumps and turns and scores. And in startup community, pivot means you spend 6 months, 1 year, 2 years on one idea, and you already have customers, but you see that it's not working very much. You have to pivot. You have to change. You have to keep a lot of the resources and a lot of the ideas and the learning. So one foot should be on the ground, but with the other you have to jump somewhere else. So in order to be able to pivot, you need to start lean. Means cost effective. If you spend all your money making or if you get loans from the bank to do a very expensive interior up market, etc., and 6 months down the line you need to pivot, because you realize that the market is reacting differently than you expected, your investment is a barrier. It's a weight that keeps you down. So try to start any business as light as you can. Anyway, we live in a light, assets light society. This is what Fortune has announced from last year, and I think they're very right. I mean, we live in an era where assets have to be freeing you, not stopping you down. So whatever interior you decide, it has to be done clever, minimalistic, and with minimum of cost. Why? Because you need to pivot. Not you need, 100% you will have to pivot at one moment. Question number 2. How are you disrupting the industry? So the fact that you open another shop, it's flower shop, right?
Yeah, it's a garden store. As I understand that they grow the flowers there and they sell them. It's not only the store, but it's also a kind of a huge...
The garden. Great. So if you have the greenhouse and how do you disrupt the market? How do you make my buying experience easier and more exciting? I'll give you some, because for me, marketing is experience. It's not advertising. It's an experience. Can you bring me into the experience of what you are doing? Can I become part of the experience? 2 weeks ago, I published an article in LinkedIn Pulse calling it the end of the finished product. If your listeners find me on LinkedIn, you will find this and some other articles, and you will see that we have entered an era where the traditional barriers between the company and the customer are broken down. The customer has to become part of the process. And the more that the customer becomes part of the process, the more loyal he or she becomes, the more good information they give us, etc., etc., etc. So, for example, can we invite people to come and grow their own plants? Can we invite them and be part of the growing of plants? Can we hold kids and students, kids and schools and other kind of in the local community visits so they see how can we collaborate? Collaboration is also a big thing. You can never make it alone. Who can be our partners? Local schools, any other. I mean, even are there local book clubs that they can come and be in a better environment in the greenhouse when they read? We need to create an experience space, not a space that we just produce. Gardening, either we sell equipment or flowers and plants, and then we sell them. No, can we create an open space? That's my top advice. Can we bring people in? Can we even bring them in before we create it? To do some workshops, to come, for them to walk around, to give us ideas, and to co-create. The code name should be co-create. Not I create and I sell to you. We do it together. This is the... Also, another part is online. Since we have a greenhouse, can we make whatever we sell available throughout the country? Not to be let's say, not to be bound, restricted by our shop. Can we create an online community that people will talk about gardening, that we will share our love about gardening? And that's my last. Do you love gardening? Are you going into this business of gardening? Do you actually love gardening? Is gardening the last thing you think when you go to sleep and the first thing you see when you wake up? Because your business will go through ups and downs. There will be moments where you will swear to yourself and you would like to burn the place down and emigrate to another country. You will hate it. But are you into it for the right reason? If you are into it for the right reason, you will keep it forever. And you will try, and you will include people, and you will go through the bad times, and you will reach the good times. You have to live your business. Your business should be you, and you will be your business. If you do this, you will create the right community in the surroundings. You will create the right online community, and that you will invite people to be part of the satisfaction you derive from what you do in life. That's the only way to do it.
Wow.
Otherwise, let's do something else.
A lot of good suggestions. What I was thinking was that that probably also what could be kind of thought through is that in what suburban area the place is going to be located. Is it next to the private houses or next to the apartment houses? So it might be also important that what is the type of choice people are expecting from you and how much they might be willing to spend time with you. If you imagine a garden owner has a lot to do in the garden, they are interested and inspired in a lot of different plants, what they can have in their own garden. So you are going to be like a supplier for them. If you look at the apartment houses, they don't have any garden, and it might be that your garden store is not only a store where you sell some flowers, but it might be a place for people to gather, to drink coffee, to spend some time, to go with kids and tell them what plants are they and how they grow and what kind of fruits you can pick. So it might be a bit different concept also depending on where you are going to be situated. So think about, because I cannot imagine that the store will be so different that people will come from, I don't know, from 100 kilometers to you. Probably the circle is maybe a couple of kilometers they are willing to come. And you really have to understand how would they get maximum out of the space you have created for them, actually.
Correct. You know, there's the new thing in marketing. I'm thinking it's last 3-4 years, but more and more I think is capturing the attention is customer creation. Before in marketing we talk about finding the customer and selling to the customer. Today we'll talk about customer creation, not new product development, customer development and customer creation. So there is a lot of passion in there. Not just to find the people that are already looking for a product like yours. Because when people are already looking for a product like yours, probably they have another supplier or another supplier, they have their own ideas. It's how you create new customers and how this old customer you transform from a typical transactional customer in whatever industry you are to a newly partnering customer, I would say. That's the best way to put it. And I think everything starts from inside the company, from passion. If you really believe in what you do, if you really cherish every moment with it, you will pass this on to other people. And then you have to be, of course, clever and do everything else that exists in any marketing book, like marketing research, segmentation, where you are, of course, all these things. But you have to consider the experience of people and how you make their lives better. And maybe this is gardening, in retail now we have also the breaking of barriers between the industries. If I go to Zara to buy something, am I buying clothes? Yes, but I'm also buying shoes. Yes. Am I buying fragrances and perfumes? Yes. Am I buying glassware? Eyewear? Yes. Am I buying accessories? Yes. When you go to IKEA, you buy. Do you buy only furniture? Maybe you buy toys for your kid. Maybe you buy food. So is it a food market? Is it a furniture market? Or is it a toy store? So more and more we will see spaces that break the traditional barriers between, products, and we'll see more around experiences. So if you create this gardening center and it is an experience center, maybe you sell gardening equipment, but maybe in few months, and this is the pivot that I'm talking about, you also add some, for home or for pets. Many people maybe are keeping their pets in the garden. So you expand. Maybe, as you said, coffee. Maybe you bring some fantastic coffee. So are you a coffee place? Are you a garden place? Are you a pet place? Are you a home decoration place? Are you... And now we talk only about B2C. Let's think B2B. Maybe later you will be getting the big jobs, going to buildings and hotels and catering for their gardens, which is, of course, bigger job, B2B, business to business job. But why not? You have to think also for other channels, not only the let's say B2C market. If I have a garden, what if I'm a company and I build a new building? What will make you different? How your gardening approach is more engaging than the other companies that offer me now gardening approach?
Absolutely. So just go on with thinking. There are a lot of ideas, and probably it doesn't even matter where you start from, because be ready for change.
Bravo.
Be aware and be ready and be prepared for the next change, and not too much fall in love in the today's business what you have.
Bravo. Fall in love with your customers, not with your business.
Yes. Very good. Thank you a lot, Nikolaus. It was so interesting to talk to you, and a lot of fun and good ideas in there. And dear listeners, please listen us in a week time. Meanwhile, please send us interesting case studies. You know that we'll love to solve them.
Sulle meeldis Turundusraadio? Telli endale meeldetuletus järgmiste saadete kohta Marketingi Instituudi kodulehelt.